Hi art students, it's time for art and let's start off with Godzilla of the Week. Today, I don't have a Godzilla monster per se, but he's very similar. This is an Ultraman monster and he's part of my model collection and he's about the same size. So this is an Ultraman monster and this guy's name is Baltan. And he was designed by the same Godzilla designer back in the day. I forgot his name. But he did the Godzilla movies, and then he also did a TV show called Ultraman, and Ultraman became super popular back in in the 60s. So that's like 60 years ago, and it was a really popular show back in the day because they didn't have a lot of color television. Like it was black and white back then, and this was like one of the first color shows for kids, and they're big monsters and they're fighting, so you can imagine how awesome this was back in the 60s. We didn't have fancy computer animation. You can see his shoes. You can totally tell it was a guy in a suit. So he's got like this leotard on, he's got this big helmet on and these big like pincher arms, but he was a pretty popular monster and he fought Ultraman. So that's it. This guy's name is Baltan. This is a model. And I really like the series, that's why I got him. Oh, he's pretty cool. Not as cool as Godzilla. But I'm running out of Godzillas. Okay, so let's get on to the art portion of the video. Okay, students, fourth graders, here you can see that I inked all of my outlines. And you'll notice that I have a thicker outline around the outer edge of my figures. Like my fish, I have a big thicker outer edge, and I used a regular fine point Sharpie. To do all the details on the inside, we're using an ultra fine point Sharpie. Now, if you don't have a Sharpie at home, you should probably go get one. But if you don't, it's okay. If your parents don't want to buy you one, you can just use your ultra fine point Sharpie, and you can kind of go around the edge again, and maybe even a third time, and that'll thicken it up. So you can do that if you want, but you can tell it looks kind of nice. You can tell what it does is it separates the fish. It separates them from the background, and then it makes the detail, the regular lines on the inside, look kind of detailed. This is a illustration technique. It helps you focus on the image. It separates the background. It even separates fish that are in the foreground. Like notice how I didn't do these. Now if you did everything, that's fine. But I didn't do these fish in the background. They're smaller. They're in the distance, so they don't have as bold of a line. These fish are closer to us, so they seem bigger because they have that thick line, where I didn't bother to do these. I kind of did on this one. I didn't do these two guys, so these guys are kind of in the background, but this fish feels closer because he has that thick black line, and that's an art convention. But whatever. It's a trick. Don't worry about it. Now, let's quickly talk about what we're going to do next. We're going to do patterns, but before we do that, make sure your name is on the back. So that way, when you turn it in, I know who it is. Oh, excuse me. So make sure your name is on it. And then you put the letter of your class. So, how, H, circle it, right? B, circle it for hour. Okay. Then let's talk about erasing really quick. Now you're like, I know how to erase, Mr. Smith. Yeah, I know. But let me show you how not to like tear up your paper or like, crinkle it. One trick is this. You could use, now this is the best kind of eraser, this white eraser. You may not have this at home, but if you do, you should use this. Typically, people will have like a pink eraser. Those are okay. They're not as good as this. And then you also have like an eraser at the end of your pencil, which isn't very good either. Although a lot of times it's that white, I don't know what kind of plastic or stuff this is, but it works pretty good, so it's kind of more common. But you can very carefully, the trick when you erase that I want to tell you is don't like be super hard on it, and don't go back and forth like this because what you'll do is you'll crinkle your paper. So what I recommend is you kind of hold your paper and you just kind of go in one direction, and you don't do it too hard. You just kind of go in one direction and you hold your paper. When you go to the edge, be careful. You can kind of like hold your paper and then just kind of go in one direction. I wouldn't go this way because you might pick up your paper and crinkle it. Now, if you crinkle it, it's not the end of the world. I'm just teaching you a life trick. a hack, I guess. That's what they call them nowadays. A hack. Okay, so like this guy, it's kind, you can't really see, but anyways, I'm just going to kind of go in one direction. I'm not going to go back and forth. Going in one direction makes it less likely to crinkle your paper. When you have a camera in the way, though, it's kind of tricky. I got a camera right in front of my face. I'm just going to do this kind of rapidly. I'm going to go in one direction. I'm holding my paper, kind of going down. But these white erasers are awesome. Oh, did you see that? I almost crinkled it. Oh, I was getting a little anxious. I was trying to go too fast. I'm filming a video. I don't want to bore you. I have an excuse. But you can take your time. You can pause the video and very carefully kind of erase all these outer edges. I'm not going to erase everything. It's going to take forever. Okay. I don't know. Did I get it? Sometimes they have little brushes to like brush off all the... It's kind of cool. I don't have mine handy. I wish I did. I'd show it to you. They have like... It's like a little brush. Then you know you're a big shot if you have the little brush. I inherited mine from my dad. I didn't actually go buy one. He had one. All right. Okay, so erasing. So now you can see we have a nice outline, and you're probably thinking like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. No, you are not done. There's a lot of work to do. So we have a lot of nice open spaces where we want to apply patterns. And we're going to talk about patterns. You could have printed them out, and you could have seen different kinds of patterns. Some of these are kind of tricky, complicated. I'm going to start with some simple ones, like this checkerboard, right? Checkerboard with dots, you can add dots. So, I mean, that's kind of easy to do. Well, you got these little shields. Zigzags are easy. And then some of these are hard. So, like, if these are kind of worrying you, you don't have to do these super complicated ones, although you could try it. Spiderweb is not impossible. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, I like these. I like these. So these are doable. These are like not impossible. Oh, this one's like probably hard. Oh, we can't even see it. This one. So I mean, if some of these look really difficult, don't do them. This one's doable. It's kind of like a checkerboard, but it's like the line is white instead of black. Pluses, you can do pluses. If you want to try one of these, oh, this one's kind of a little hatching. It looks like wicker. If you want to try a more challenging one, go for it. In fact, I encourage you to. But like if you're super worried about it, like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, I recommend you start easy and do some easy ones. Then do some more complicated ones. And you can print these out, or you can just kind of see what I do today. Okay, so I'm going to put these over. So probably the most easiest one is a checkerboard one. Now, if you want, you can draw it in pencil first, but I'm just going to use my pen because I'm careful enough, and I'm just going to do it pen. If you're worried you're going to mess it up, then use pencil first and then trace it. I'm just going to use pen. It'll save us some time. So I'm going to start with a simple checkerboard. Checkerboard is like easy to do, and I'm going to do a checkerboard on, this is like the hem of his robe. So the first thing I want to do is I want to draw some lines, and you know, you want them to be the same distance. Now that's kind of hard to do. I mean, technically you could probably get a ruler out and try to measure it perfectly. That might be too much work, right? If you're just careful and you can kind of estimate in your mind, right? That's a good skill, I mean, to have. And like, you get better at it with age, but you got to learn it somewhere. So you're trying to make them the same distance, right? These are important skills, I tell you. Tell your parents how important art is for life skills. Like in your mind, measuring distances, right? Okay, so I did that. Now I could make them stripes. Like I could make these thick, bold stripes. In fact, boy, they would look really good like stripes. You know, I'm going to go for stripes. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to double these up. I'm going to double them up. I'm just going to make stripes. Stripes are even easier than a checkerboard. So I'm going to do stripes. Okay, and then I'm going to fill them in. Now, I could fill them in with this. I could fill them in, that would be safer, but I'm going to save some time and I'm going to use this Sharpie. Now, what you want to do is you definitely want to fill in some of your patterns with black. You want to have black all over your, like mixed in all with your drawing, because it will add contrast. And the more black you have, the better it will look. Now, if you screw up, let me tell you the other secret. I don't know if I've taught you this yet. Here, let me finish this first. And then I'll tell you. It's hard to talk and do this. I'm trying to all be careful. The trick is this. So that looks pretty good, right? It's just a simple stripe. But look at how much more dynamic it is. It has that black. It added that dark area with the white, and it's kind of like action. It's not action, it's not moving, but it creates a visual action where it's really cool to look at. It's like there's like dark and light, and it looks really good. And that's just a simple stripe, right? The stripes are filled in black though, so there's some black in there, and it looks great. Let's look back at Mrs. Hamidy's that she did a while back. She has a lot of black. She has a lot of stripes, a lot of lines and diamonds and textures. But all that black creates a real awesome dynamic, black and white. And then, like, there's so much dark and black and lines in here. The background, it like looks really good. Like, it really stands out against the white background. And the white background doesn't look boring anymore. Like, mine looks boring. Like, see the difference? Look at hers. All that black and all those lines and all those designs. And then look at mine. You're like, oh yeah, I get it. Now, I like my drawing. I think my drawing is good. But see how boring it is? It's because there's not a lot of black. Now, as I fill in black details and patterns and textures, then this will also stand out against this white background. Right now, it feels kind of like everything's white, right? But here's the trick. If you mess up, let's say you mess up over here. I don't think Mrs. Hamity messed up. Oh, okay, you can kind of look. You can kind of see. Kind of looks like she messed up there a little bit. Like, oops, like it doesn't look as clean as this. But my point is, did you notice it? No. Because there's so much stuff to look at that you don't even note. I don't think it was really a mistake, but I'm just using this as an example. If you make a mistake somewhere, but you do all kinds of detail everywhere, you don't notice the mistake as much. This is an artist trick. This is a secret that I'm telling you. So like if you're doing something and there's not a lot on your page yet and you make a little mistake here, you're like, oh, all you do is you focus on that and you feel, oh, this is terrible. I hate this. I made a mistake, right? But what I say is add more detail everywhere. More the merrier, more detail, more patterns, more. Then you won't even notice it. I promise you. That is an artist's secret. It's a hack. It's a trick, whatever you want to call it. I call it a secret because it's from me, my knowledge to you. If you make a tiny mistake, you focus on it because there's not a lot of detail yet. And this is a work in progress. But when you finish everything, you won't even notice it. And you'll show it to somebody and they won't notice it. You might maybe still see it, but other people won't. Okay, so remember that. So don't get discouraged if you make a small mistake. Okay, so we did stripes. Now I gotta do checkerboard. I'm gonna do checkerboard. Dude, I don't know where to do it. Let's see. I'm gonna do checkerboard on his hat here. Now normally checkerboards go straight, right? Here, oh gosh, do I even have to show you this? I don't, you're smart. Checkerboards normally go straight, but look at this checkerboard. It's kind of curving, right? It's kind of bending. Although here's kind of, let's see. That's traditional, it's kind of straight, although it's at an angle. But this looks like the lines are bending, right? So this part of the hat is bending, it's rounded. And so I can make my checkerboard bend with this kind of rounded spherical hat. So instead of doing just straight lines across, which is better than nothing. Like if you don't know how, if I show you this and it doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. Just do it the best you can. And if it's not perfectly rounded, I'm fine. But I just want to, some of you will figure it out. You'll be like, oh yeah, I get it. So what happens is you use the edge of the shape as a reference. You say, oh, this is rounded. So that means my grid lines for my checkerboard are going to be rounded too. Watch, they're going to kind of match it. So this is rounded, kind of like that is rounded. And then I'm going to go here. Okay, then over here I'm going to start. The trick is when you go to the middle, you're like, oh my gosh, Mr. Smith, what do you do? Okay, but this one's going to be rounded like this. Watch. Rounded. Okay, then I'm going to have another one. Rounded. rounded. I'm trying not to, look, see I connected those? You want to avoid that. Remember how I talked about that last week? It's okay. Now your question is, oh my gosh, now what do you do? Well, I could make it round and then round the other way and they just meet. But usually what happens is on a round object, what happens is they kind of straighten out. Like this line kind of changes into that line that bends the other way. So how do I do that? Well, I can make it not bend as much in the middle, and then this one's not going to bend as much, and it kind of goes the other way. I don't know, it feels a little better. But basically, it starts off like this, edge, and I draw those lines and they match. And then over here, it's going to be the same thing. But in the middle, they're going to kind of change. Like this line is going to, this is curving to the right. Eventually, it's going to curve to the left. Here's curved to the left. If that makes sense, great. If not, you just kind of see what I did. Okay, same here. Same on this top hat. So at the top, it kind of bends this way. So I'm going to use that as a reference. So I'm going to kind of bend that around. You're like, oh my gosh, it looks so three-dimensional. I know, it's amazing. Now here, you can kind of see the top of the hat. It doesn't bend the other way. It kind of bends this way. So I don't really have to change it. So that's good. That'll make it easier. Let's see if I can do that. They call these lines contour lines. Contour meaning they follow the shape of the object. Now, maybe I have another line in there, but I'm not going to do it. So it's like contour lines. And you're like, that's amazing. I know it is amazing. Because that's like a principle of art. Right? Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to fill in those checkers. Now, when I fill in these, now you're probably like, oh, that's good enough. I like it. No, no, no. You got to fill in some black and do it like a checker. Now, how do you do checkers? I'll show you. You're going to do one. You start with one. Then you skip, right? You skip one. Do one row at a time. Don't just kind of go all over the place because then they won't match. Oh boy, I got to get my bigger pen. I recommend you use your small pen because it'll be, like I said, I've been doing this for 30 years, so I can be a little more careful. I don't want to mess this up, but I'm going to save time on our video by just using, see how that wasn't as perfect? But I'm saving time for us. Okay, so now do the top row, and notice how you skip every other one, right? For the second row, you consciously, you have to be careful. You're like, okay, this one was black, this one's white. So that means the one next to it is black, and you skip one. Okay, and then, okay, now that one's white, now I skip. You just have to be super careful and go one row at a time. That way you won't make a mistake. If you do make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just like I said, by the time, now I'm going to skip this one. This one's black. If you make a mistake, just finish, do all the detail everywhere, and then you won't have to worry about, okay, now this one's white, so black, white, so then this one's going to be black. But you can see how, okay, white, black. Okay, white, and then this one's going to be black over here. You can't really see it, that patch is in the way. Okay, then this one's white, this one's going to be black. So just be careful. Checkers are easy to mess up. People mess them up all the time. So just be careful. Do one row at a time, and then okay, and they shift. The checkers shift. They also call that offset. So like if I do dots, and they're like a checker pattern, that's called offset. Okay, you're like, wow, that's amazing. It is amazing. Now, that looks pretty good, but sometimes, like, some of the examples, she even put dots in the middle. I guess those are even diamonds. Those aren't even squares. So if you do a checker, like, at an angle, then they look like diamonds, and that's pretty cool. Mrs. Hamady, she did diamonds, too. You can just draw diamonds. I'm not going to do those. But here's the thing. You want to look for opportunities to do black. So, like, here I got some polka dots. Well, I'm going to make them black. That way they'll stand out, and they'll look a little better. Remember, the more black and white you have, the more dynamic it's going to look. Now, this thing, this is like a jester hat. It will be hard to do like I could maybe do a zigzag pattern on this, but this might be good for stripes. So I'm just going to do stripes. Now, remember, let's talk about that contour line. If I did straight, it's not the end of the world, but think of this as a rounded cylinder. And so, like, it's not rounded very much here, but if you make them rounded, ooh, I'm not doing it round enough here, kind of like that. If you do it round, it makes it feel like it's three-dimensional. So give that a try. Round. It's like it curves. It's almost like a C. That's kind of hard to do. That's called a contour line. And see how it makes it look three-dimensional? It's like, that's amazing. It is amazing. Okay. Oop, I'm not curving it enough. Usually what happens is students don't curve it very much. And you can see even I'm starting not to curve it very much. You want to curve it almost like a C. Well, backwards C, right? You're like, that looks amazing. It does look amazing. Notice how the thick outline looks really good against the thin interior detail line. You're like, that's amazing. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this for years. It's the variety of line. This line's thick, this line's thin, and so it looks really good to have a variety. And usually it looks nice to have a thick outline around the edge, just because it's like an illustration. It's like I said, it takes the whole person or the object and kind of makes it one whole shape. Like notice how I didn't go and make this like thick. I went around just only around the outer edge. And it looks good. Okay, now what am I going to do? Stripes? I could do stripes. I could color every other one kind of like a checker. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a thin stripe, and then a thick stripe in the middle. So watch, I'm going to do this. Ooh, messed up. I'm going to correct it. So I'm going to go like, I need my thick pen. So thick line, thin line. Now you don't have to do it this way. You could have just colored them solid, but I'm going to go like thick line, thin line. So again, so there's my thin line. Thick line. You know what I should have done? I should have done the thick lines first. I should have done the thick lines first, and then draw my thin lines. That would have been easier. Come on, Mr. Smith. How come you didn't do it that way? I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I'm improvising here. Improvising means you're making it up as you go along. And you can kind of do that. See how nice that looks? I'm going for the thick one. Remember, I recommend you use this and be careful. Like I said, I've been doing this for years. I'm a little more, I kind of know what I'm more careful. Okay, so I got thick and thin, that nice variety. Curved contour lines. You might have a different hat. Okay, I want to save time here. I'm running out of room here, though. Okay, let's see what I can do over here. Okay. I almost have to do it like this. Here, I'm going to do this. Okay, then I'm going to go add some other lines. Okay, there it is. Like, wow. Okay, great. So those are stripes. So there's different kinds of stripes. I got regular stripes. I got thick and thin stripes. And you're like, that's kind of, so those are easier to do. Polka dots are easy too. Let's see, I should do some polka dots. I'm gonna do some polka dots on my fish. Okay, now let's talk about, I'll do polka dots on this dude. Let's talk about offset. Should I have a bigger fish? Here, this guy's a little bigger. What's this guy doing over here? So let me show you. So you should probably, if you're going to do polka dots, you could do, I have a choice. I'm going to do them just black. I'm going to do black dots. I'm going to go, you want to start with the top row. I'm going to try to, I didn't bend it very much. Okay. Now, we want to offset the dots, kind of like the checkerboard. And so here's how offset works. You find the center, the empty center, like when you do the second line, you find the empty center from the top line, and that's where you place your dot, right? So they're kind of shifted over a little bit. You find the empty center on that top line and do the next dot. So basically, the second row goes where the space was in the top line. And so they call that an offset pattern, and it looks really cool. Now, if you just did a bunch of dots randomly, you could probably do that too, but you can see how that's like, wow, that's kind of cool. It is kind of cool. Now, another thing I could have done is I could have drawn those circles and not fill him in, leave him white, and then I could have filled in his body black. That would have taken a long time, but it would have looked pretty good. You know, in fact, I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to do it with this dude. Let's see what it looks like. I'm going to make my dots bigger, though, because I'm going to fill the rest in with black. Let's see, I got a dot here. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to fill it in. Let's see what this looks like. Usually if I do stuff like this, I kind of go around the dot first and then fill in. Like you can kind of go around the dot. All right. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of the opposite of the one I just did. There, so that's pretty cool. Another thing you can do with a thick line is, so here I already have some of those lines, right? So some of these can be thick. So I'll go thick, or maybe I'll add some. Thick. Some will be thin. All right. Like this guy, I got this guy. Maybe I want to do a thick line in between those other lines. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, that's not too thick. I can go back and make it thicker. That's hard. That's hard to do. This is a long eel. Look at how when I stop, it makes a dot. Maybe I can, if I have to, maybe I just pick up my pen, move my arm, and then start again. Maybe that'll help me avoid making those dots. But even if you had dots, it's not the end of the world. Like I kind of stop, move my arm. There. So again, you have this nice, so you got thick lines and thin lines in there, and that looks pretty good. Okay. What's another thing we can do? Mrs. Hamady did this cool thing where she kind of filled in, like, so I have these scales. Scales are easy to draw, and they look like pretty detailed to begin with. But then she did this kind of like black dot in the middle, and that's a nice way. That's an easy way to get some textures, or patterns. So let's see if I can do it here. This guy's got a lot of, oh my gosh. I'm not going to do all of it because this will take forever. Oh yeah, that looks rad. It does look rad. Now remember, I'm doing this fast. You could take your time. You could use your fine point Sharpie. You could fill it in carefully. It takes time, but you got lots of time. All right. See, I'm not going to do all these. This will take forever. You don't. But see how cool that looks. Also, here I'm gonna do some. I'll do like half of them. This is an important lesson to see, because what you're going to see is the difference between filling in like patterns with black and not doing it. And you'll see, oh my gosh, it does look so much better. Mr. Smith was right. Yes, of course I'm right. I've got the wisdom. Okay, here we go. Okay. So yeah, I can just tell right on that camera. See how much more interesting that looks? It's dynamic. There's black, there's contrast, looks great. Okay, so now let's look at this. Oh. I mean, it still looks like a good drawing, but it doesn't look as good as this. You're like, oh yeah, like that. Like this looks good before, but oh, now this looks way better. So this is kind of tricky and kind of hard to do. Like I said, I'm showing you how to do this stuff. But probably your best bet is if you have a printer at home, maybe have a parent, you want to print this page. This way you can look at Mrs. Hamady's and kind of see what she did. She's got like big flowing stripes. She's got little dot patterns. That's kind of fun. That's easy to do. She got all kinds of different zigzags, right? I'm not even doing the ones like that she has on the thing. Maybe I should do some of those. Let's see. I'm going to try this one. So let's try this one. It looks like I don't know, it looks like little, like a crown almost. Okay, so how would I do this? Well, she kind of shows you, although here it's drawn differently. Like they're not drawn as long. Like this is a different one than this. This one's longer. I like the longer one. Ooh, look at this one. This one has circles. You draw the circles first, then you connect them. But these you can print these out. These will show you step by step, and these will give you some real nice, interesting ideas. But I'm going to try this one. Okay, I'm going to try it on the cuff. So remember, I mean, you're like, the drawing looks good, but you want to put patterns like everywhere, my friends, everywhere. So I'm just going to go, let's see, I'm going to draw. Now remember, you can use pencil first, then trace it if you're worried about it. If you think you got it, because you have to do a lot of patterns. If you're like, I think I got it with that fine point, ultra fine point Sharpie. If you think you got it, then you can use this. Just be careful. And if you mess up, like, just try not to mess up. I don't care if you mess up. Don't get so worked up if you mess up. Some people like, I messed up, I can't do this anymore. No. Just keep working. It'll look great. There, circles. So if you think you can, this saves time not to use the pencil. But like I said, I've been doing this for like 30 million years. So it's easier for me. If it's easier for you to use a pencil first, it just takes longer to do. But this is your first time doing something like this. So if you want to use a pencil, great. That's amazing. And it looks very medieval. So, okay, and I want to do the same. Now, I could do something different here, but I kind of want to keep, he's going to have all kinds of patterns. I want to keep the cuffs the same. Okay, so let's see. Right. Okay, I'm going to do those circles. Okay. See how much better it looks with these patterns? You're like, yeah, I know. I'm just too lazy. I don't want to do it. Yeah, I know. I know. Okay, how much time do we have? Oh, I gotta stop talking soon. I'm not gonna be able to finish mine. But there, you can see that looks good. So let's see, what are some easy ones? Mrs. Hamady did some cool things like these. She just did dots. Dots can be like an extra detail. Dots are easy to do. And they look like a kind of a nice fine detail. It almost looks like a stitch. So that's cool. You could do this. Anyone could do this. Oh, look, here are those polka dots. Now, look, I could fill these in. I could fill these in black, or I could fill in the actual patch black and leave these dots white. I'm just going to fill them in black because it's just I'm running out of time to show you stuff. Okay. Okay, that looks good. I could use stitching. If you do stitching, let's see. I'm going to do. But make it small. So I'm going to do like, oh, well, it's hard to see. They almost look like dots, but they're little, short little lines. Stitching will look really good on this medieval, character because, there's more exposed stitching back in the day. Let's see. Usually, let's see. I'm just going to do... Fill that in. Okay, right? Stitching. Let's see, I could do stitching everywhere. I could do stitching on these bags. Right? I could do patterns on those bags too. Yeah. Okay. Now let's see. I could do like little stripes. Like so, he's got like a belt here. There could be like stripes, like lines. So that's easy to do. This one can maybe have bigger stripes, and then maybe they are like black and white stripes. Maybe I want some of these to be black and white. I don't know. Maybe I want to leave it like that. Here's some stripes. I could fill these in. So even stuff that you've drawn, you can go in and add stripes to it. All right. Here's another trick. Here's a little button. Usually there's a little shadow underneath that, so it's kind of just like a little dark. It's like almost like a little, like the line is thicker underneath. It looks like a shadow. See? And I go, wow, that's cool, Mr. Smith. It is cool. Okay, so let's see. I'm looking at Mrs. Hamady's. What about diamonds and stuff? Let's see. Well, we can do, I want to do some more stuff on my fish. So maybe I want to do, here's a big fish I can do. So maybe I want to try some zigzags. Now remember, when you do a fish, sometimes they have like a, I don't know, they have like a face. And so you kind of draw this like wavy line. It maybe, this is a little fancier. It could have just been a circle, or a half circle, but there. That way it kind of separates the face from the pattern that's going to be in the body. So I'm going to do these, I'm going to do zigzags. So it's going to be maybe wavy zigzags. Okay, and then, but I'm going to double them up. Right? You're like, oh yeah. Now that doesn't look like much. I know. But if I do another wavy zigzag close to it, if I put them, when you do your patterns, put them close together, and that will make a more detailed pattern. Those aren't even that close, but this is a pretty big fish. So I'm gonna just, let's see what we got here. Okay. I'm losing patience. Don't lose patience. Okay. Let me get more wave. Oh, and notice that I bent it. I bent the line a little, kind of like that contour line. So I'm trying to make this pattern kind of go contour, like it kind of curves around the body. Yeah. All right. Now, that looks pretty good, but I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, Mr. Smith, you need some black in there. You're right. So let's see. Gosh, what am I going to do? You know what I can do is maybe there will be like maybe like one of the lines is thicker. Like I can make this one. I still want to have, I don't know. Like I could fill the center black, but maybe I want to try something different and just have like this part black, like on the edge. Almost like a second, like a black line that's next to that white line. Yeah, see, already that's looking better. Yeah, so I would, here, let's see. Okay. Another thing you can do, I'm not going to finish that because we're running out of time. Another thing you can do is you can add a lot of like little lines in the fins, and then you could, and here you can see Mrs. Hammond. She filled in some black, right? You want to do, and if the lines are really close together, it looks kind of black. So these are all really close together. So let's see what we got here. Here I'm gonna go to this guy. So boring. Okay, he needs a pattern. Okay, so I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna do the lines really close together. There. You're like, oh yeah, that looks really dark now. Totally. And it wasn't, that was just lines. That wasn't very hard to do. Okay, I'm going to do this one. Get another line in there. When you do lines like this, it might just be better just to use your pen. So there, I mean, that looks pretty good. Oh yeah, looks pretty good. I could do, what about this guy? This guy's like a betta fish, so he kind of has some like, let's see, he, you know, they usually have kind of like wavy lines in their tail and kind of in these fins. Does he kind of have like a little fin here? I think so. Now again, I mean, he's okay, but like I should make some thick and thin. Maybe what I can do is, I'll leave that up to you, but like I can fill in some of these blacks maybe. I can leave some of that white line. What about this guy's hair? I could draw it. I could fill it in black. Let's see. I could do lines. I could follow the contour. It's easier when you have this big pen, right? And then you're like, oh, that looks pretty good, but maybe I want to fill in some of the black. Okay. You know, maybe you want to fill it in. Maybe you don't want to see all that. Like, I don't want to see that. I don't know. You can go in here. You're like, oh no, I filled in too much black. Now I don't see any white. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's good. Maybe fill in that part, right? Okay. See how that black makes it look really interesting. I don't know what I want to do here. Polka dots? Let's see. Oh, zigzags. I'm almost out of time here. Let's see. I didn't do any zigzags. Should I do zigzags here? I'm out of time. I'm going to do some zigzags here. That's kind of cool. So I'm going to do that on that stripe. Oh, yeah, you can barely see it. Here, I'll zoom in. So zigzags. Now the question is, you're like, but there's no black. I know. So maybe every other zigzag can be black. Maybe I can do black details in here. Needs more black. So maybe I can like, but you can see the detail, just lines. They curve. They follow that contour. So maybe I'd fill every other zigzag with black. I'll try it. Here we go. Okay, we're totally out of time. I took forever. Sorry, it was fun. Wasn't it fun? Like, no, that was a long video, Mr. Smith. Yeah, I know. I tried to keep it shorter. There, that looks better. So maybe I'll do some of that over here, but I'm not going to do it now. But you want to, I mean, everywhere. Pattern here. Maybe a pattern on his shoes. Like maybe he's got, and think like a lot of black. Like maybe this fish is mostly black and he has some little details. Like look at this. Look at all that black. I didn't even put in a ton of black in mine yet. But stripes, you fill in every other stripe. Here, this guy's got stripes, big stripes. She doesn't do a lot of checkers. Here's kind of like a checker. Those are like diamonds. You just draw the diamonds. You can look at these examples. I didn't even do any of these hard ones. So if you want to do a hard one, great. If not, just do what I did. But you can follow them step by step if you print it out, and they look pretty good. So I did that one, but that was an easier one. So finish up this project, here's what you want to do. Fill every fish and fill the page with fish and stuff. So like don't just do like one or two fish here and have all this white. You want to do fish and people. You might be asking, can I do like a ground, and can I do stuff in the background? Maybe, but I'm not going to say no, but I think it will look better if you just draw more fish and animals. I just did fish. I didn't draw any other animals. Maybe you want to draw some llamas or unicorns in there. Like, I really don't care. But have at least a couple fish, right? You could have little like squirrels hanging out with him, a cat laying on his hat. I mean, it can just be ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, it's like Miss Hamady has that. She has like little, I don't know, like those look like hamsters. I don't know what they are. Birds. She has birds over here. So here's a horse behind. A horse is kind of hard to do, but you can do whatever. Oh, ribbons. I didn't even do any ribbons. I didn't do any ribbons. You could draw flowing ribbons, but as much detail as you can. I didn't finish it, but this feels pretty finished, right? So that feels pretty good. I want to see this everywhere, and like this, right? I want to see that all here. I can even do stuff in here. So just finish everything. Hopefully you'll have fun. Don't worry if you make a mistake. The more stuff you do and put in, the less you will notice your mistakes. Have a great week. This is due, January 15th. Bring it to school because we want to mount it. Erase carefully, and then make sure your name is on the back, so that way I can grade it and get a great grade on this. Have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye.